My name is Robert Clark, and I'm a performer of Vincent Dance Theatre. My background is in dance predominantly, but prior to that I've also trained in kind of acting and theatre. Charlotte brings together a really good group of people, you know, multidisciplinary, you know, from different backgrounds, cultures as well, ages. So it's exciting in the different skill sets they have, but it's also very exciting in the very different personalities that are brought together and kind of form the group. On this particular project, I was intrigued by the premise of what she was intending to do, you know, to make a piece that was trying to engage with feminism, and not just as a political thing, I don't think, but really trying to just look at like what is the current situation for women in the world, and you know, that's huge, and I was very intrigued to see what would come out of that. I think the way Motherland functions is that there's very few of us who have a single character or represent a single facet of the theme, and I feel like I exist across like several different kind of functions really in the piece. So when I'm often guesting in other people's scenes, I tend to be more supportive, caring, looking after them, or helping them achieve what they want to. So that's another function I have in the work. I then also work in a group sense where we are just representing I'm representing either men in general as a generic kind of collective, or I'm representing people, again, in the same kind of broader sense. There's a solo done by Andrea that I like a lot. It sits at a certain point in the piece where I feel like, due to the subject matter, it can be quite heavy, you know, and some audiences that's not a problem. Some audiences, they struggle with that, and you know, they're provoked by that in one way or another. And her solo kind of sits at this point where it's kind of a crux in the work of, I think, for some people in the duration of it, about how they feel about it. And it's a light moment, but it's also kind of layered, and it's the fact that in the lightness, a lot of people kind of just take it as a relief, but actually it's also talking about a lot of other things, you know, about how it is to be a woman, about the choices she has to make or doesn't have to make. And it's also kind of like a small celebration moment. I quite like that. She's quietly celebrating being herself in some way. There's very little there that's just where you're just seeing somebody execute movement. There's always a relationship or a purpose, or it's a metaphor, or it's representing something. So some of that makes it feel quite complicated. But no, for me it's the pacing. It's really like we're going on and off stage all the time, and when you're off stage you're not necessarily fully aware of exactly what's happening on stage, and you're not fully aware exactly of how the audience are flowing with that, as you would be normally in a work, or my experience of work. So you really have to kind of be very, very aware of just the pacing. I think it's about trying to look at this kind of confusing situation that seems to have come about in relation to gender identity and the politics around that, and just kind of, yeah, where are we? And it's very much filtered by Charlotte and where Charlotte was at, you know, that time of the making, and to some extent also where we all were as performers. So I think in some way it's about trying to work out what the landscape is. It's like you know, it's so inherent in the world we're in, gender and I don't know, power and sexism and feminism. You know, like all of these words are so known and like thrown around all over the place. But I don't really feel like a lot of us know actually what those things are. And I don't think necessarily that it's any clearer, actually, having gone through the process of Motherland. But I think Motherland is what Motherland's trying to do, which is kind of important, is to engage with that, you know. And actually, you know, if those are the kind of questions or discussions that come out of people coming to see it, I think that's worthwhile. Motherland is a multidisciplinary work, as you've said. So it's drawing on a range of references to different genres, I feel. Whether that be folk dance, folk music, whether it be contemporary dance, or even ballet, or something quite balletic at the end. So I feel like Charlotte kind of has appropriated these things these cultural references and styles and skills to put them into a work. So that for me is what Motherland's kind of formed of. And in terms of the presentation of it, I feel like it's durational. It has to be durational because it's just audiences aren't accustomed to that time length, so it becomes durational. My through line, no, there isn't a clear through line for me. Some people, the Leah Alice, the child character, yes, there's a definite development there. Or also Patrizia, she has a real through line. And again, like I don't know the answer to this actually, but I'd be really interested, about whether they're characters that were particularly important to Charlotte as she constructed it. Because I think it is more the women actually who go through those journeys. And again, I think that relates to the title and to Charlotte's aims in making it. The music stops functioning in the traditional sense. Like for me, I talked about pacing earlier, and it just all becomes rhythms. So the music is a rhythm as are the words, as are the entrances and exits, and the dance as well. It's all just kind of rhythms that are all working together towards a kind of common purpose. So I very rarely think of the music as accompanying or leading or in the kind of traditional sense, although it does actually. To be fair, it does function in that way sometimes, but that's not really what it feels like. It feels like it's a very equal element, and I think that's also served by having the performers involved in some of the other scenes and around. It stops being, there isn't really a clear hierarchy as you might find in other work, especially work that calls itself dance. There's some nights where I love the lullaby, which PK sings when she goes across the back wall. That's really nice. Sometimes the song we call Pussy Riot is very infectious. It's hard not to enjoy that, especially when the audience are really into it. No, it definitely changes around though. And there's something very nice, the entrance music as well. Like it's a real, like, it's an on button. When I hear that, kind of puts me in that space. The white is, I think, an attempt to kind of create a neutral space, something where we're not trying to place it in time or in a world. We're kind of like guiding the audience to look at these things as in some way abstracted. Black and white. I think there's a symbolism in that. How we tend to look at things. There's not a lot of where's the grey area? Where it's like yes or no, kind of things in opposition, a touch. Also, and how that relates to men and women. The boxes, there was a lot of talk about from Charlotte. They're all ammunition boxes, and how there's the potential of the potential for destruction in that, and also we talked about Pandora's box a lot. The red is such a strong colour in terms of representation. Passion and death and blood and anger and so many, and warning. So I think that it's all of that, but it's also kind of, that's quite interesting. I think that Charlotte's kind of subverted some of that, because she's also trying to appropriate it as just as blood, not as something disgusting or horrible, but just blood as the reality of who we are, and also the dirt in that sense. Dirt, even the word dirt is kind of hints at taboo and all of these kind of things. I think Charlotte's again trying to reclaim it as just normal and human and something that we all deal with. So that for me would be the kind of dirt and the blood. Stark lighting, not so many changes there. Again, this is it. She's kind of saying this is it. It's not. We're not playing with tricks here, or we're not trying to. We're not. It's not the magic of theatre. Is not what the piece is about. So it's quite clear in that sense. There's a thing that I do see every night. There's this earth patch that kind of gets dumped on the floor, and as the work goes on, it leaves all of these traces in the space and stuff. And there's something about that I really like. That kind of the space as an empty space without people in it, but with all of the history on it. That's an image I like to see. But I don't think it's a piece that there's any answers in it really. I like it. My personal preference. I like it when people come away with a sense of hope from the end, and that's. But I don't think that's a given in the work. That's like some people on some nights, but that's something I enjoy personally when that happens.